Here's a curious story, just before we go back to the phones. The England rugby star, Billy Vunipola, has been arrested after a bit of an incident at a pub in Majorca. It's the kind of headline you don't think you're ever going to read, really. Rugby players are known as distinct from the world of football. I know this is a cliche. They're the boys that can go out and have a beer and there isn't any trouble. Football fans don't know how to do that. It is a cliche and shouldn't be followed up too much. However, what the hell has gone on? Will Hobbs, talkSPORT reporter, is with us. I didn't expect to read this, Will. I thought they were talking about somebody else, like a lookalike or something.
Well, what makes it more interesting, potentially, is that Billy Vunipola hasn't drunk since August 2022. He's been on a sober streak in order to get into shape.
That might be the answer we're looking for.
There you go. And I suppose it was just a release. So we had allegations this morning that Billy Vunipola had been involved in altercations at a bar. Security tried to restrain him, and then police were called and they tasered him, not once but twice. The first taser apparently hit his wallet, according to local police, so there was no discharge, so it says something about his wallet potentially. The second one hit, and then we got a statement from Billy Vunipola, which Saracens shared on X, formerly Twitter, saying there was no violence. There was a misunderstanding. He was arrested. There was a trial that was fast-tracked, and then he had to pay a €240 fine. Saracens have flown back to London now. It was a team social out in Majorca. He was only there with another player at that particular bar, but an investigation goes on and questions remain about how Saracens will deal with this, particularly in the run-in to a very contested Premiership season.
Yeah, he's 6'2" and 20 stone, so
128 kilos.
That's that's something, right? I mean, this is a unit, this fella. You wouldn't mess with him. I could imagine you could taser him 10 times and nothing would happen. But the official statement, because there was lots of speculation. Apparently, he'd slapped a copper. He'd sworn and shouted, and the images just look like a bloke having a nice time. But who knows how a drink session can get out of hand? But officially, Saracens have released that statement, have they, saying there was no violence?
So it's Billy Vunipola saying there was no violence, which Saracens then shared on their post. They said they'd been made aware of the situation, and then it was Billy's post that they shared on their account.
And so the smart money would then say, well, because people would, why did he pay a fine? But that may well be, well, pay the fine and get the hell out of there, because if I don't pay the fine, there's going to be a trial or something. It will just elongate the process. I wonder if that's the thinking here.
Well, exactly, and there's confusion, isn't there? Because on the one hand, Billy says there was no violence, and just a fine of €240 would suggest there was nothing particularly serious. On the other hand, he was tasered twice by police, so you're thinking, well, clearly something was happening. Yeah. Clearly there was a ruckus that made people alarmed.
But I'd have thought if you slapped a copper, even in Spain, that you'd get more than a €240 fine. I think that's probably you'd be up before the beak. Yeah, you'd think. But we will watch with interest. Thank you, Will. Good to see you.
No problem.
Our new studio, by the way.
It's flush.
Flush, isn't it? Yeah.
It's doing a great job.
But a few cosmetics to attend to, but it's doing all right.
It's the start of a process. Trust the process, as Arsenal fans would say.
Yeah, well, City fans have a very different view on that at the moment. Will Hobbs, talkSPORT reporter, with us here on Talk. Let's go back to your call. I think, has anybody told you how to escape?
I think I've got to duck underneath the camera.
Yeah, apparently right. Because wherever you go in here, you're filmed. It's like Big Brother.
No, I'm not used to this in the radio world, so I'll try and...
That's all right. Well, talkSPORT's got a lot of cameras around these days, so there it is.